Welcome to Into the Void, the first live stream that doing on this channel. So this is all new ground for me. First live. Um, I've been doing YouTube for 3-4 years, if you don't count the years before my addiction when I did a few episodes. But I created this channel 2 days before Ozzy passed away, and music has always been my number one love. If you guys actually watch the episode that I put up in the video section called Remembering Ozzy Osbourne, it kind of just breaks down, like, growing up my whole life and what he meant to me, and to the point where even my dog was named Ozzy. I'm 44, single, and have no kids, but you bet your ass if I had a child, his name would definitely be Ozzy. I mean, when he passed, I don't know if all of yous felt this way, but it wasn't just like, oh, a celebrity passed, oh, a public figure passed. I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. I didn't personally know him. I didn't have his number, nothing like that. I met him in Greenwich Village before he went on Conan O'Brien back in 2005 when the Prince of Darkness box set came out. Those are my rocker days back in 2005 with the long black hair, but which is actually 20 years ago. But when I saw the back to the beginning, and I'm going to get to all the comments. Everyone, if it's your first time here, hit that like button, subscribe. I get to every comment. I appreciate everyone in the chat, and this is like your show too. That's how I run the lives. If anyone ever wants to come on, I'll drop the link, and you're more than welcome to come on and join me as well. But this hit me real hard, and it's just been for me personally. It's just been a wild year. Like I said earlier, my dog Ozzy, who I lost in January, which obviously was named after Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy passed at 13 years old. That was my child. Like I said, I don't have kids. So that's how it was the end of January when he passed. And then I remember putting up a post going like, well, you know what? I find solace in the fact, after the Back to the Beginning show, I said, I put solace in the fact that the year my dog dies, Ozzy performed his last show at Back to the Beginning. And with all the bands that were there, with Pantera, Metallica, I mean, a lot of people are saying the man basically got to witness his own funeral. And I find solace in the fact, though, that if you watch a lot of videos from back in the day where him and Sharon are talking to Pierce Morgan, he's like, I don't care if it kills me, I'm getting back up on that stage one last time. And he did. And I think that I put up a post, if you guys check out my shorts, about him talking about retirement, and you have to have something to retire to. And I'm not saying that Ozzy didn't want to keep living. Of course he did. I'm sure, with his grandchildren, his family, you see how close they are. And my heart goes out to his family. You see how we all feel about his passing. Just imagine how his family feels. But I mean, Ozzy was my whole life, my whole childhood, from going to Ozfest, from playing music. Mr. Crowley's what got me started on the piano and keyboards. John Sinclair, all those guys, though, that played with him. I absolutely loved it. Loved the original lineup when they were called they were actually called Blizzard of Oz at one time when he was with Randy. And then it changed, though, to Ozzy Osbourne, though. But I believe he's with Randy now and a bunch of others. And he gave everything. And look at this. They buried him on his property, right? But that's his property on his lake. And that they buried him some spot by that lake. I was reading Ozzy fucking Osbourne. Probably the best floral arrangement that I have ever seen. And then, as we know, in Birmingham, he returned to it, basically 3 weeks after his show. And the support that he had from the crowd was just unbelievable. And it was heartbreaking seeing his family come out there, though. But I want to say some hellos, though, to sometimes that mic gets unmuted, though. So let me say a couple hellos to everyone. And I want to thank everyone who's been subscribing and leaving great comments. Chris, Roll the Bones podcast. What's going on? That's a great show. Great show. Thank you for being here, man. Great to see you, Chris. Absolutely. Matt, what's going on, brother? Always a pleasure. I always appreciate your support. Appreciate you. Oh, now, excuse me, the mic sometimes goes out. I apologize if I say it wrong. Briarly Holcomb. Briarly, I had another show. People used to laugh at me all the time about how I mess up names. So if I said that wrong, but your comments, I mean, there's been thousands of comments already on this channel, but your comments are just like I want to pin everyone. And I'm about to unplug this mic in a second if it keeps going out. Of course, this has to happen on the first time doing this, though. But thank you for being here, Briarly. I've been seeing your comments. You're welcome, Chris. Great to see you. Jordan, what is up, my friend? My good friend Jordan in the house. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Ghost Reaper, Connecticut. A mutual friend sent me your live. Me and Chris used to. Chris from he's the man. He's my favorite podcaster who I talk to personally. He's just such a great gentleman, and the work they're doing is fantastic. But Ghost Reaper XCT, great to see you here, man. I hope you subscribe up and stick around and hang around. And like I said, I always get to with the subscribers and the people, anyone who subscribed to this channel. I already said the email, and I'll type it in. It's Ozzy Osbourne tribute page at gmail.com. You email me up if you've never been on a podcast or a show. I don't care if you don't have Wikipedia, if you're not famous. That doesn't mean nothing to me. I judge everyone on the individual merit. So anyone who supports the show is welcome on the show. But thank you for being here, Ghost Reaper. Dark Warrior, how are you, my friend? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Anyone who gives their time, thank you. And I was just talking about you, Briarly. I was just saying about your post and your comments. I want to pin every one of them. They're fantastic. And I could tell that you were diehard and are a diehard fan of the Ozman. And I actually just broke this book out again, though, to start reading. If you guys never read this one, what Mick Wall did, Black Sabbath, Symptom of the Universe. Fantastic book. Definitely, though, check that out. But Briarly, it's great to see you here. And I remember everyone, I must have had over 1,000 comments easily over a week, and yours just stick out to me because I could tell they're very heartfelt, and you know what you're talking about. The man, the legend, absolutely. Roll the Bones. My personal favorite Ozfest year, 2004. Well, I was there. What a legendary lineup. Last three bands, the main stage, Slayer, Priest, and Sabbath. Yeah, that was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then the year prior to that was, or it might have been after, I believe, in 2005 with Maiden at the Ozfest. And I remember watching Iron Maiden or even like Judas Priest front row. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Sabbath's coming on afterwards. Actually, that show, Chris, I think it was Ozzy, but the one I saw in Bristol, Virginia at the Nissan Pavilion, it was Sabbath because Judas Priest co-headlined, and then the original Sabbath with Bill Ward, and I was front row. And there's a crazy story about that, but people might question my humanity about that one, but I'm going to share it. I was seeing a girl, and remember, I'm young. This is 20 years ago. And I'm with my best friend, Dave Flannery, who's not here anymore, got him tattooed on my back. He's like my brother. Passed away at a young age back in 2004 in October. But anyway, me and Dave are at the show. We're front row. And Phil Anselmo's band, Super Joint Ritual, I think was the one. Yeah, they opened up and all that. And we're just sitting there front row. And I guess my girlfriend's sister at the time drank some GHB. If you know what that is. She went out. That microphone, excuse me. Ambulance had to come, the whole 9 yards. And I remember, and some of you are going to think I'm sick. This is 20 years ago, mind you. She looked at me and Dave, and she's like, my sister, she drank some GHB. She's going to the hospital. We have to leave. And I remember just saying, I'm not going anywhere. It was the original Sabbath. I know it sounds terrible. It sounds terrible, but we stayed. Me and Dave stayed. He agreed with me. She was fine. She lived on all that. But it was with Bill Ward too, because I seen the end tour. But with Bill Ward being there at the Nissan Pavilion in Virginia, and I knew that her sister wasn't going to pass or whatever. I had my addiction issues and all that, and people might, say what they want. But I remember her looking at me like, I love you, my sister. And I'm like, yeah, but Sabbath. You know what I mean? And I'm only laughing now because everything worked out fine in the end. But we stayed for the show. And that's when Rob Halford came out like he always does on the bike, on the Fat Boy. And then Sabbath just hit the stage. And I remember Dave whispered to me, he's like, what if she's not all right? I'm like, dude, look, come on. Like, we're literally looking right up. Like, I was right in front of Geezer Butler. And she was fine. But, I just wasn't leaving that show. If I was married and my wife called up and said, hey, I'm giving childbirth, I'm like, well, it's the original Sabbath, honey. I think even when our boy or girl grows up, they'll understand after they hear the music. But that's a true story. But thank you for being here, Chris. And I know how you are with the music and with Ozfest, and just love you for being here. I want to get Ozzy's book, I Am Ozzy. It's a phenomenal read. Phenomenal. And I want to make a comment too about a lot of people are writing on the page like, oh, that's disrespectful that everyone was chanting at his it wasn't his funeral, it was his funeral procession when the car was driving around and Sharon got out and the kids and everyone was chanting. Ozzy, if you check the post, he also wrote something in that book about how he wants to die with a peach tree and the whole nine. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But he even said, when I go, I don't want no mope fest at all. I want it to be a celebration. And I think, and if this, thousands and thousands of people just showed up to that. And it really just shows you how beloved this man was. I know some people that don't even really even listen to his music and love him. It's Ozzy. I don't know a more beloved artist out there. I really don't. And just a huge, I don't want to say shock because we all knew he had the Parkinson's. We all knew the surgery after he had that. He was never like the same when he got, if you saw the Graham Bersinger show with the interview when he's talking about how he's always in pain and this and that. But like Tony Iommi said, like, and Geezer and them, like, he held out for his fans. It wasn't for money. That $180 million went right to finding a cure for Parkinson's. The man loved to perform. He just wanted to get out of that chair so bad. And he said in an interview with Pierce Morgan years back, he's like, I don't care if it kills me. I am going to get back up on that stage. And he did. And for a way for Ozzy Osbourne to pass away, and I'm not saying like, oh, this is good or anything, but what's more metal than the way he went? What is honestly more metal than the way that man went? In pain, dealing with Parkinson's, sounded like you listen to Mr. Crowley. I was blown away by his voice. Mama, I'm coming home. It was cracking because like he was genuinely upset. But like Tony said, like, did he know? And I believe that people do know towards the end, when their time's coming, and he held out. And it's like, you have to have a purpose. And that's why I remember he retired back in 91, no more tours, which was a great lineup. Randy Castillo, not Randy Castillo. Yeah. What I think was probably my favorite drummer with Ozzy, Zach Wilde, Mike Inez, and Ozzy, and John Sinclair. And that lineup, Randy Castillo, excuse me, I said his name wrong. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. But if you get the album Live and Loud, unbelievable live album. That and obviously Tribute with Randy Rhoads. Speak of the Devil, fantastic. I have that right. I have pretty much all of this stuff in vinyl. I was actually just, I found which one is this that I have right here? I have to take it out of the sleeve. This is Memoirs of a Madman, though, right here, which not studio though, album though, but almost like greatest hits and all that. But I remember the day though when I met Ozzy, and you know, I'm thinking like, okay, he's just gonna be like, yeah, 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 get away. But he talked to you like he was just one of us. That's why I think he's so beloved, because everyone could relate to him. He was so honest. He was so pure. You see what even Gene Simmons said about him? Gene Simmons goes, I couldn't shine his shoes. And Gene Simmons is known for being arrogant, being this and that. And he's all sad. And he's like, I wish I was, he's like, I played an act and this and that. He's like, I couldn't shine Ozzy's shoes. And to hear that coming from Gene Simmons says a lot for how he usually though is. But the day though that I met him, I remember I walk up to him. The song "Walk on Water" is playing, and that's from the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack. But it was the demo version of it that was playing that was released on the Prince of Darkness box set. And I don't get starstruck. I interviewed people that are well known and stuff like this. I never get starstruck, but he was the only person where I was like, oh man, it's Ozzy. And it was 20 years ago. So you got to remember I was at the time 24 years old. But there's a bunch of people around, obviously, and he's talking to you though, like, nobody else is around. And then like, his assistant Tony had he was on the show, the Osbournes. I'm sure if you saw the show, you know who Tony was like, hey, Oz, but like just saying like never give up, this or that. I gave him the CD, and I know like he just went boom in Ozzy fashion, grabbed the CD and just threw it behind him on the chair. That's Ozzy. If you ever seen him on Opie and Anthony, Jim Norton, when he gave him all those gifts, and then Ozzy just leaves and left all the gifts there, all the Beatles books that he got him. It's just it's just Ozzy, and I think that's why he's so beloved, because he never placated. He never said, I got to be like this. I got to act this way. He was always Ozzy. Like Gene Simmons said, there wasn't one before him. There's not going to be one after him. And from going to being in a pioneering band that started heavy metal with Black Sabbath to even being bigger solo career, sell over 60 million albums. I mean, and then going into reality TV. That was the first real reality television show. And fuck the Kardashians. Are you kidding me? Like that show is just unreal. And it was also a show about someone that was famous and stuff. The Kardashians are sorry for the Kardashian fans out there, but what do? Ozzy earned his keep, but what did the Kardashians do? And I'm not trying to be negative or knock anyone, but the man was just unbelievable. And thank God we have the music and all the footage and everything that just go. That's what I said. I always say the artist may pass on to the other side, but the art lives forever. And Zakk Wylde with Black Sabbath and all that stuff, they're going to continue his legacy. But it even hit, yesterday too. I'm sitting down, I'm like, I'll never see him live again. Even though I didn't see him though since 2000, was it 15, 16? Somewhere around that time. Because I was getting my shit together because I had to move out to Philly because I was raging alcoholic, drug addict. And happy to say though, coming up on 4 years in this year, November, by Thanksgiving. And I had a mantra in rehab that always said, if Ozzy could do it, you could do it. If Ozzy could do it, you could do it. And I explained that in my first video that I put up before. And he's just helped me so much. Briarly, there she is. Let's get to some comments. Thanks for the backstage pass. You got it, my man. You always got it, Jordan. And anyone's welcome on. But yeah, that was unbelievable. I was there, probably not at the same venue you were at, my friend. I was in Homedale, New Jersey, and also Bristol, Virginia at the Nissan Pavilion. But really, get that book. You will absolutely love it, and you'll probably be done with it in 2 days. It's one of those books. What if you have the time once you start reading it? And I believe it's actually too. Listen, this channel will never do AI. I don't like it. I think that it ruined it's disinformation, all of that. Now the pictures like with Ozzy meeting Lemmy at the pearly gates and Randy, like stuff like that's all right. But when these AI channels are coming out and just spreading misinformation and all that type of stuff, and some people, I remember I commented, and some people are like, "Well, it was still nice." Yeah, but it's not pure. I want to hear what's really coming from Ozzy, and I don't like AI, and you're never going to get that here. You're always going to get the real deal, and what you get here, the sources that you get here, everything you can fact check and all. But if I use AI once, I want all of you to crucify me and give it to me hard, because just it's never going to happen. Yo, Ghost, that was the year of the beer riot. Oh, yeah, they had a riot up there. We had one up, though, at the Roger Waters show up here, and it rained. Took all the tents. We stole the kegs, and then Waters ended up staying. It was incredible. That's awesome. Would also have stayed for Sabbath. All right, see, you're already great, because I thought a lot of people would be like, well, man, your girlfriend's sister, she's going to the hospital. I was like, yeah, but, I got to stay. Dude, his finally show is basically a funeral for himself. And then 3 weeks later, they're driving around that area right by the Black Sabbath bridge. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Chris. Went to the End Tour in MSG. I forgot what moment I seen him with my brother. I forgot what month, excuse me. Michael, my brother, passed away August 13th, 2018. It was a special tour for me. My brother is up there partying with the Oz, man. My condolences to your brother, Matt, and I'm sure he is. And don't even get me started, too, on all the Christian channels that come out with all of their stuff, talking about Ozzy and this and that. And if you watch the short, though, that I just put up where he's talking about, we were never in the black magic, any of that stuff. It's a persona and all that. And Ozzy put more smiles on people's faces. Listen, I grew up, I did 8 years of Catholic school. I consider myself a Christian. But all these radicals who come out saying, oh, this person's not going there, this person's not going there, those are the same type of people who crucify Jesus. Who are you to be the judge? God is the judge. And the Ozman's definitely in heaven, flying high, for all the smiles and all the people that he helped vicariously through his music, through just who he was. But people just want to come out and make all these and towards the end, if you know the story about how he had his own Bible made, and I'll do an episode on all that, and but there is people there holding Bibles and doing their thing. Jesus is the Lord, and you're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to preach that word if someone asks for it, though. So all those Christians who want to assume and and be judgmental and say, who are you to say someone's not going to heaven or this or that? Get going. Because the real God I know, he'd look at you and laugh and say, who are you to be the judge? And that's just a fact. So give me a break with that. I was at that End Tour myself with AJ Bartoletti, my man. Fantastic. Bill Ward didn't play on drums, but still great, though, to see him. I got, though, to see him, though, with Bill, which is great. You're so lucky to have met him. I would have done anything for that. Yeah, no, that I'll cherish that moment for the rest of my life, 100%. And he actually, he talks to you like you're the only one he's one of us that just happened to make it, though, real big. I'm talking his talent, he's the king of the melody and the songs and all that is on another level, but who he is as a person, he's just a regular, very humble, great guy. Great guy, Briarly. Hey, bro, excited to follow you on the journey. Bones sent me an R.I.P. Ozzy and agree about them. Yeah, Chris is the man. Vaz, I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for subscribing up. And I want everyone to know, too, anyone subscribed, the email, I'll type it in again, but it's Ozzy Osbourne tribute page at gmail.com. Email me if anyone's interested in coming on, talking about, what Ozzy did for you, meaning like, you know, how he was an inspiration to you. Talk about the albums. I mean, forget about it with the albums. I mean, I mean, come on, Blizzard of Oz, the Diary of a Madman, you know, to Bark at the Moon, to the Ultimate Sin. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Then Zach comes in on No Rest of the Wicked, just unbelievable. And then No More Tears, unbelievable album. One that I really love to this day. I love all of them, but Osmosis, unbelievable album. Back on Earth, great album. Just every album, he was just, I loved Black Rain. I loved all of them just because of his voice. Ozzy could sing over Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and I'll love it. He just has that electronica voice that is just so haunting sounding that fit Black Sabbath beautifully. Personally, my favorite Ozzy, I'm just going to be honest, even though I love them all, but for me personally, is with Randy. And the first two albums are just timeless masterpieces. To come back from being fired from the Sabbath, huge band, and to come out with Blizzard of Oz and Diary of the Madman, and they came out like back to back real quick. And Randy was going to leave, but Randy wasn't going to leave Ozzy. He was going to actually write for him. He just didn't want to tour anymore. And that comes from Randy's brother and sister, Kathy and Kelly. That's on an interview on Full and Bloom, I believe it is the channel. But just let me know what your guys' favorite Ozzy album is. Let me go back, make sure I got to all the comments. Dave, what's up? Lopez, thanks for being here, Dave from Phoenix. Appreciate you. Vaz, didn't you see Ozzy a few years back? Ozzy lived a full life. However, there will never be Ozzy. You know, he did live a full life, but what breaks my heart, though, is that, you know, he was in constant pain, though, for a while. And to hold on and hold, I think and that show wasn't to hold on, make money, leave money for my fam. No, I mean, to rate what they did for that charity to try to find a cure for Parkinson's. I have a very good friend. She's older now and she has it. And it's just a terrible, terrible, terrible disease. And, you know, I remember even 20 years ago, my good friend Peach, who was diehard Ozzy as well. Like, you know, every time he was sick, like, you know, he's going to pass. I'm like, there's Ozzy. We used to be like, Ozzy can't die. Ozzy can't die. But to hold on and do that show with Metallica there, Pantera, Slayer, Guns N' Roses, you know, Billy Corgan, I've like Tom Morello, why can't I think of Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Zach Wilde, obviously, just everyone, Tool, everyone, Danny Carey on drums, just unbelievable on drums from Tool, but just the love. And then when Geezer came out at the end and handed him that cake. And I'll tell you what, Geezer Butler, man, he still got it. Just unbelievable. So did Tony, and Bill's getting older. But my favorite thing besides seeing Ozzy, because I got the pay-per-view for that show. I couldn't get all the way out to Birmingham. I live in Pennsylvania. But at the time, and I can't, you know, my father's going through stage 4 cancer, so I can't be going on trips, you know, out of the country and stuff. I can't even go to a trip out of the city. But I got the pay-per-view. But Bill Ward, no shame, still took that shirt off and drummed his heart out. So salute to Mr. Bill Ward. I thought the same thing. Ozzy will never die. His music lives on. You want to know something? You're right. He's never though. Yeah. And music, footage, everything is, I mean, there's just, we're lucky to have that. The artist may pass on, but the art lives forever. And true. Same thing like happened to Tom Petty. He did like his last show, and then Tom ended up though passing. And I wasn't alive for when John Lennon passed away, but people are telling me though that this is like just as big as, like, if not bigger than that. And I don't know if it's because of the social media or whatever, but I mean, I don't know one person that does not like Ozzy. You might not like his music or, you know, this or that, but Ozzy, he's respected in all genres. I've been seeing country players pop up on my feed doing tributes to him. The hip hop community absolutely loved him. He done work with Wu-Tang Clan. He done work with what's the one guy who took his sample? I forget. It was a Crazy Train sample. But Ozzy didn't do work on him. I guess he gave him that to sample. But if you got, the band Body Count, Ice-T, Body Count, they came out just last week on the Warped Tour to Black Sabbath at the beginning, Ernie C, Ice-T, and them, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful tribute with Ozzy on the screen in the background. I mean, who didn't love or respect the guy? Like unbelievable. Dude, you can see in Ozzy's face he wanted to be out of that seat running around with the Matt. He was pushing up so many times because he's so used to running around like a madman, you know what I mean? And I personally think I've seen so many concerts. And if you went to Ozfest a lot, I mean, you happen to see, I mean, it started with 3 stages, then it went to 2 stages, and then, well, no, it stayed with 2 stages. I remember I'd see Black Label on the 2nd stage with other bands, and then Zach would finish up with Ozzy. But it was just, I seen so many other bands, and a front man without an instrument to get the crowd going. Henry Rollins said it best. If you go to an Ozzy show, you go to a lot of concerts, the bands come out, first 2, 3 songs, they're all fired up. They might, Ozzy, all the way to the last song, the crowd is just insane. Just the way how he gets them going. I think he's the best frontman of all time, hands down. Best entertainer of all time, hands down. Best performer of all time. Best showman of all time, hands down. And I'm not being biased. And everything's subjective. And just like the arguments, what band's better than this band? There isn't any. It's all subjective. It's all what you like. But I just don't think that we'll ever see another performer like Ozzy. And I love this story with Henry Rollins telling Joe Rogan, though, that Ozzy used backstage when Henry Rollins, where Black Flag was opening for him, or it might have been the Rollins band at the time. So don't quote me on that. But Ozzy was like, "Is there anyone out there?" That's how freaked out he was. And Henry Rollins is like, "Is there anyone out there? Don't you smell the WD-40? That's from them spraying the doors for from squeezing the last 1,000 people in the mega dome that they were in." But that's how Ozzy was. Very just humble. And that's why I think he touched so many people and is loved. I wasn't expecting all these comments on the first live. I thought maybe 2 people would come in, but thank you for being here. Ryan, Ozzy, oi, oi, oi. Ozzy, oi, oi, oi. Ryan Atkins, let me know what the nope's about, because I love learning new things. One thing about me is if I say something wrong, and I don't know if you're talking to me or in the chat, but correct me, please. I don't have an ego with that stuff. Like, oh, no, I have to be right, this or that. Someone wrote something to me about recording studios and stuff, and I went to school for recording engineering and been in many studios, recorded and stuff, and I was just like, I'm not even going to comment back, but I usually try to comment back to each and every single one he is. But thanks for being here, Ryan Atkins. Appreciate you. I can tell you're from over the pond, the other side. That's how they rock. I love it. And, someone made a good point, and they had to do the last show in Birmingham. But if they ever see shows in Argentina or how those crowds are, they're just insane. Rock in Rio, all of it. I know, bro. You can just seen it. That you said you won't get another. That you said you won't get another performance. Are you saying that a better showman, like, is that what you're talking about? That you won't get, that you said you won't get another performance. What time is it? 2 minutes. I ramble a lot and say a lot of fast things, so I just like to be clear, because I respect every one of you who give the time to watch. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Unequivocally. And I know people who aren't even diehard, who don't listen to them all the time, like me, and I'm sure like you, Ryan, and everyone in the chat, but you're not going to get a better frontman. No way. No way. And I'm not saying the singing ability and this and that, which is very distinct, and I love this voice. But a lot of people will be like, well, this singer, though, was more musical. And I don't care. Ozzy's voice was just so, like I said, you could play, happy. I could listen to Ozzy singing Happy Birthday for a day. To me, that's the number one hit. His voice was just unbelievable. And, all these new age bands, though, that are out there, or like the pop and all that, they have the lip syncing going on. His last show, he didn't lip sync a thing. How about he didn't even take his pain meds? And he had that spray that he was doing because he wanted to really perform for the fans. Like, a lot of people say, I love you and stuff like that, and bow and this and that. But I met the guy, and I know how he is with his fans. When he's like, I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Like Gene Simmons said, the Prince of Darkness, or this or that, and he's a Satanist, he's black man. No, he's not. I'm not saying Gene Simmons said that, but the Prince of Darkness is a label that they gave him. But the guy was full of love and cared for others, and that's the truth. And this channel here is to honor Ozzy Osbourne and keep his memory going, and talking to the fans, and any one of yous are welcome on, because just a huge loss. But like Ryan said, yeah, we have the music to keep going. Alice Cooper did a tribute with Johnny Depp. I saw that they sang Paranoid. And also Alice Cooper found out the news when he was walking the stage, on getting ready to go on stage back. He was backstage, and they got the news, and they all huddled up. They're like, this one's for Ozzy. But I saw that Johnny Depp, though, came in, and who didn't though love him? Who didn't love him? I heard there was rumors a long time ago, though, this was a while back, when someone was going to play him, that it was going to be Johnny Depp in a movie. No bullshit. Him and Sharon loved each other till the end. She took care of him straight till the end. Yeah, 100%, absolutely. If it wasn't for her, if you guys know the story about her showing up to the hotel that he was at, he was staying up above on top of a liquor store, and he owed money. And Sharon's father, Don Arden, who is notorious businessman. You could read about him. There's a lot on this book here. If you want to know the beginnings of Ozzy and Sabbath, I'm telling you, Mick Wall, Symptoms of the Universe, this book here, and I Am Ozzy, get that as well. But I Am Ozzy right now is on YouTube, and it's an AI of Ozzy's voice doing it. And someone said, I hate AI, but for this, it's okay. Yeah, because it's not misinformation. But the people who have channels that there's a channel that's called, I don't want to get anyone on other channels in trouble, but I'll start it with the untold stories of, and it's just making up a bunch of nonsense. So just watch where you get your source from and all that stuff. I agree. They loved each other so much. Yep. I just started listening to them. Well, welcome to that journey, my friend. You got a lot of albums, a lot with Sabbath. Just unbelievable. Blizzard with Randy Rhoads. I think you'll absolutely love that. Diary of a Madman, unbelievable album. Then Jake E. Lee came in after Randy sadly passed at 25 years old in the plane crash. And Jake was on Bark at the Moon and The Ultimate Sin. And then Mr. Zakk Wylde, Jersey Boy, came in for No Rest of the Wicked. And I think, was it Miracle Man or Crazy Babies was his first sign that he wrote for Ozzy. I forget. But Zakk was just a great replacement overall for all, And he's just, the way he honors them. And shout out to Zakk Wylde. He's unbelievable. And then you have No More Tears, which is just unbelievable. And if you listen to the solo of No More Tears, that's monumental. Like Comfortably Numb, let's say, song from Pink Floyd, you hear that solo, it's just listen to the solo of No More Tears. It's just, in the beginning, especially, just the like you could feel like the hurt, the pain, or the happy, all in one. And it's so good. It's so good. He had fantastic musicians, and down even Gus G. I like Gus G a lot. He was on the album Scream after Zakk went. They didn't get no argument or anything like that. It wasn't like this or that. Ozzy was just like, hey, you got Black Label Society going on now. You got your thing. I'm gonna just try, and he did with Gus G for a while, and then Zakk ended up coming back with them. Love all of them. Yeah. Like I said, it's his voice. It's his voice. it could be over anything, and it's unbelievable. Even the covers he did with Typo Negative, the cover of Wu-Tang, which I forget the album that's on, though. I'm just a poor little white boy, and present giant. But I forget that song. I'll get it though next week, because we're gonna do Sunday. I believe this will be the day every week live, honoring Ozzy and talking about Sabbath, Ozzy, anything to do connected though with them. And again, for the lives, if anyone ever wants to come on, is more than welcome though to join as well. But yeah, no, you're definitely in for a treat though, Ryan, with all of them. Where's my man Roll the Bones? Could have sworn I just saw him. Condolences again to your brother, Matt. R.I.P. I didn't know that, buddy. I did not know that. I always make sure I didn't miss any comments. So, hold on. Yeah, so me and my guitar player, AJ Bartoletti, we absolutely, when I met with him, I used to think that he was just like into, and it was just a misconception on my part, like into Grateful Dead and this or that. So I thought I was going to meet up with him. He's just going to have an acoustic guitar and this or that. And first, I want to say shout out to my friend Dave Hardy. I'd love to get him on here, because if it wasn't for Dave Hardy, then I wouldn't even be a musician or into the music that I love. Probably sitting here doing this episode right now if it wasn't for Dave Hardy. Guy's basically a legend around there. Got so many people started with music. But so this video here was probably about maybe 6 or 7 months after playing with AJ and stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, could you learn to solo to Crowley? Because I would never just be able to find someone that would play Mr. Crowley to learn the solo and play it properly. They'd be like, nah, I can't, blah, blah, blah. And overnight, he sends it to me acoustically and he's playing it. And then I show up and I sit down and he's just... Shout out to AJ there. It's my man right there doing a little Crowley. Just great, 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 great stuff. But when he started playing that, I was just shocked. Randy's stuff isn't the easiest to play. Love you, Loomis, like a brother to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Matt. Same with you. And thank you for always checking in and all that. Appreciate you. That's what life's about, not ulterior motives. Always check in on your people, folks. No More Tears, the album was just amazing. That's what got me to be an Ozzy and Sabbath fanatic. Mr. Tinker Train used to call me Mr. Tinker Train blew my mind. Still one of my all-time favorites to this day. Unbelievable album. And you could tell, No Rest for the Wicked was fantastic, but you could tell by the time they got to No More Tears is when Zach was really comfortable with being with them, and it started though. Because, Zach, like he said, I love how he explains it. He's diehard New York Yankee fan, same as me. And he's like, playing for Ozzy, he's like, it's like playing for the Yankees. It's not just making the majors. You're playing for the Yankees, and he was a huge Randy fanatic, Tony Iommi. So just imagine that. And then he gets the gig and he ends up playing and with Ozzy until the end. And make a movie on that alone, that's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And he not only just played and learned all those songs, but he did have his own style. And I know people are like, oh, the pinch harmonics, whatever. He has his own style, and he was able to write as well. And that's a big deal, because a lot of people can play and learn songs, but can they write? And Zach absolutely was able to write, still is able to write. Suicide Messiah from Black Label Society, unbelievable song. In This River. I love playing that on the piano. That video with him and Dimebag as little kids always gets me going. But No More Tears, the album, phenomenal. And that's when he was done, because that tour was called No More Tours. And the name of the CD is Ozzy Live and Loud. And the version of Mr. Crowley on that, with like the more haunting organ, and he doesn't just go right into it afterwards. He stops. Let me see your fucking cigarette lighters. Back before there were cell phones and all that stuff, when you used to go to concerts and people would like the cigarette lighters. Anyone remember those days? But just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Thank you, Dave. First one, I'm nervous, though, a little nervous, because, I mean, how many shows have I done? 2,000? But on this channel here, I was surprised that people are even in the chat for the first one. Thank you, James. I appreciate that, my friend. Amazing. Rest easy, and Randy. Absolutely. He's with Ozzy now. They're both together. Ryan Atkins, Mom, I'm Coming Home is another great one that Zakk Wylde and Lemmy came up with. Listen, the story of that, too, is that Lemmy, I believe, was at the Rainbow, and Ozzy was telling him he had the vocal melody for it. That's the thing with Ozzy. Unbelievable with melodies. And that's not easy to do. To write a completely different, like you look at Mr. Crowley. But he knew to just go, Mr. Crowley, and then ask it quite. He doesn't follow the guitar. He does an Iron Man, and he does it a couple sign Electric Funeral, because it's just perfect. But just his vocal and Zakk said that, I think 99 out of 100 times, the first vocal melody that Ozzy would come up with to a song is the one that was always kept. And but he would get melodies, though, in his head and stuff like that. And Lemmy, though, wrote the lyrics. So they go to the, and Lemmy, I think he was like, give me an hour. And he came up with it. And just beautiful. And that song's hard to listen to, man, right now. Very hard to listen to. And I watched some of Back to the Beginning yesterday. I watched Mr. Crowley, him doing that song. And it's just like, I think that's what was like. Well, we would have all been shocked, though, when it happened, though. But, like, what if look at it this way, folks. What if it happened, though, before, though, that show? He got to do what he wanted to do. And he was in pain for so long, and he held on. So that's where I find the solace in, is that he got to do what he wanted to do and went out. I don't know what's more metal than that. No pain pills, no nothing. Parkinson's, and to sing the way he did was unbelievable. And did 2 sets, even though they weren't the longest sets, still did 2 did the Ozzy solo, and then with Sabbath. Unbelievable. Lemmy was a wonderful musician. Oh, Lemmy was a wonderful musician. Motorhead had so many great songs. Ace of Spades, Overkill. I love We Are. I love Road Crew. There's when I was out in California, me mural right there. And here's pictures from when I was out in California. Now, Ozzy didn't live here at the time, though. But if you remember, though, the famous song, House from the Osbournes. There it is right there. And these are all my photos. And then when we went down by the Rainbow and stuff, you brought up Lemmy. He was always in there playing. I forget the name of the game that he was always playing in the corner, but he would always just be sitting in there. But just what a talent. And Ozzy, if you watch a lot of Ozzy's interviews over the past 2 years, a lot of times he'll just be like, I miss Lemmy. I miss Lemmy. I mean, they were real, real close. And Lemmy's another pioneer. 98% of all his music has such deep meaning. Oh, yeah. No, it's and these people that I get a kick out of it, though. Oh, he's saying this, and he's just, no. Look, listen to the song. He's saying about Aleister Crowley. You didn't even know what Aleister Crowley looked like. Look at the story what Zakk Wylde says about him. That's okay. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin bought Crowley's estate and lived there and was all into the occult and all that stuff. If you listen to the lyrics of Mr. Crowley, Ozzy's basically calling him out, like you're a fool, or Mr. Alarming. Won't you ride my white horse? Which is a reference to drugs, but he is like basically calling him out as a phony. People don't listen to the lyrics. We live in a society or a time period where everyone just wants to boom bash immediately without looking at the whole picture. That's what everyone seems to want to do. And they just want to bash and put people down. And you want to know why? Because they're insecure with themselves. Anyone who's happy with themselves, living good, living this way, whatever, they don't act that way. So they give themselves away. And I love the line, whatever anyone thinks of me, it's none of my business. And that's how I live moving forward. But everyone's just so quick to judge. They see some crosses, or they see Black Sabbath, which was a move. How come the filmmakers aren't getting persecuted for making more horror movies and stuff like that? This is show business. The man absolutely was. They were not a call and black magic and all that type of stuff. No, Geezer was just reading a lot of books on well, I know a real lot, obviously, like with if my man Pete was watching, he sent me the Vig Viser with Old Norse, mythology and all that type of stuff. But Geezer was into all types of stuff and just questioning it. And then they're like, oh, well, they came out with a song called God is Dead. Yeah, with a question mark. And if you listen to the lyrics at the end, he goes, I don't believe that God is dead. But everyone just wants to, but who cares? All those judgmental people, Christian, they call themselves Christians. Well, why are you assuming being judgmental? The Ozman's living great right now. Flying high with Randy and all the greats. Agreed. Thank you, Ryan. He was like a dying parent, they say. After they see all their loved ones, they left their soul go to God. I think that's what Ozzy did. Yeah. And it breaks my heart. This year alone, how many text messages I got from friends? Like I lost, a family member after they're like, dude, Ozzy passed. You all right? Ozzy, because they know how I am. And at first I was just like, well, how it first hits you, but I'm not going to lie to you. I cried my eyes out later on in that night, started just watching stuff and just started bawling. And it's hard for me to cry. But then looking next door to my bedstand where my little Ozzy is, and who just passed away. And in the same year, I name Ozzy after Ozzy Osbourne, and they passed the same year, January 23rd, 2025. And then it's just that 2025 is a tough year. I lost my favorite performer in Ozzy, lost my dog Ozzy, and my father doesn't have much more time with stage 4 colon cancer, which is just tough, but I don't want to be a downer. We all go through these things. It's just been a tough year, and just makes us stronger, and we want to live on and carry their name with dignity and all that. I'm an addict. I was an addict with drugs and alcohol. Anyone who's watching, or if you don't ever go that route and waste your life with all that BS. I used to think, because I was a musician, thinking, oh yeah, I need to take drugs and I need to, go on stage. Okay, that's me 20 years ago, and out of my mind, thinking that I needed that, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. I could play way better now without any of that stuff, and you actually remember the shows and all that, and just. I'm not telling anyone not to have fun or do whatever they're doing, but this day and age, you can't just grab drugs on the street with all that fentanyl that's out there. That's just dropping everybody. So just be careful. I don't like to tell people how to live, but it's just not good. Not good. All right, we got Bria. I agree. People think the way stuff sounds means a certain thing. For example, metal music. It could sound obnoxious to some people, so they say stuff like it's Satanist. But when you listen, it's not. That's what I mean. Just people too quick, though, to judge. And the sad thing is everyone now has a voice because of social media. I'm not saying that I deserve a voice. But I'm not going to take advantage of it, though, by berating no people and putting people down and this and that. And now that everyone has a voice, you know, it's usually, like an avatar fake name, and they'll talk shit and all that stuff. But it's just, I guess, to make themselves feel better about themselves. If they see someone do something wrong, they just want to bash them real quick because they never did anything wrong in their life, right? They're perfect. Iron Fist, Ryan Atkins, my man. I got a good trivia question for anyone right here. Actually, I was going to make this a short, but what was the name of the band that Ozzy thought of in his mind before he was even in a band with Geezer, before Sabbath and anything? And he carved it in cement in his house in Aston. What was the name of the band that he thought of in his mind? I'm actually going to make a short on that because I like to do a lot of trivia, history, all that type of stuff. Ozzy gave people meaning and purpose. He absolutely did, and he helped more than you know. Oh my God, Gina. I'm not going to lie. I was not expecting anyone at all to get that. I got to start that comment. Yeah, Gina Elliott, you know your stuff. Wow. I was not expecting anyone because I was going to make that into a short. So I'm like, oh, I could ask this question. And wow. Was not expecting that, Gina. That was impressive. Thank you for being here too, Gina. Appreciate you giving your time and watching. Thank you so much. Wow. But she is right. So basically, before Ozzy was in a gang with, a gang. He was in a band with Geezer called the Rare Breed before he went with Tony and Bill and all that. But it is when he heard She Loves You on the radio, it changed his whole life. And he was always thinking before, his father bought him a PA, and then he wrote the thing, Ozzy Zig Needs Gig and all that stuff. But he was just thinking of band names, and he scratched that into his, I asked that to so many people and they had no idea. And I don't like, and there's no way, Gina, that you could have looked that up on Google, because I don't even think that you'll get the answer on Google. And just how quick you answered that, you definitely just knew that. And that's very impressive. Wow. Was not expecting that. Wow. Anyway, oh, that happened to me. About 30 family members and friends texted me all day asking if I was okay because they had heard Ozzy passed. I cried all day long and the days after too. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough. That's what people don't understand. Well, why? If you didn't know him personally, yeah, we did know him. We did through the music. You know how many dark days I had when I was just alone listening to his music or watching when he had a struggle back. That's what helped me so much get off of drugs and alcohol. It's like, if he could do it, anyone could do it. And he absolutely, touched so many people. It's uncanny. Iron Void. Look at that. I'm still. Look at Gina. Gina, you better subscribe up. Both Ozzy and Lemmy both died 17 days after their last gig. I'm honest. I know a lot about Lemmy. I did not put that together. Thank you for letting us know. Gina, I still can't believe she got that Iron Void. I can't believe that. But wow, both Ozzy and Lemmy died 17 days after their last gig. Weird. And they were like best friends. They loved each other and stuff. And yeah, no, that is absolutely uncanny, without a doubt. So we got someone on here who's an encyclopedia with Oz. We should, go back and forth, Gina. See if you got me beat, because I'm other people who know me from my other channel. She goes, I know my shit. Yeah, you do. And on my other channel, though, which was true crime and all that type of stuff, though, but like, I'm a musician, and music's like my life. I started this channel 2 days before he passed. And then the day before he passed was the video I put up of Zakk Wylde talking about when him and Ozzy went out to the party. They went out to a random club, started playing Crazy Train, and they ended up, though, going to the fans, like some fans' house, and just partying all night. And then I put that up, and then the next day this happens. But look at this. I know my shit. I think that's going to be the comment that's going to be Gina after this, because this is just a live chat. They disappear. Underneath the normal comments, you should just write, I know my shit. And I'll definitely pin that because I'm very impressed. And I love though when I can talk to people who actually know what they're talking about. I was not expecting it. I was so comfortable asking that question because I was going to make it a short for a trivia, because I don't even think if you Google it that it'll come up. Oh, I won't do it now, but I don't think, it will. A lot of people will Google stuff and say this or that and whatever, but on the trivia is, if you don't know something, it's fine. Just say, I don't know it, and learn. I'm sure Gene is going to say something and I'm going to learn that I didn't know. All right, I got one more. Ozzy used to walk around with a leash, like a dog leash. What was connected to that leash? Boom, 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 boom. Uh-oh. I might have got you on one, Gina, which I'm sure you'll get me on many and whatever. We don't know every single thing, but Ozzy used to walk around. Oh, she said, got me. Like, anyone else? I didn't know that about Lemmy. I didn't know either. I'll give it 10 seconds. Don't look on Google either, folks, which I don't think that that'll come up though on there. All right. Anyway, he used to walk around barefoot, and he used to walk around with a leash, and there wasn't a cat or dog on the leash. It was a shoe, an old shoe that he had connected to it. And when he knocked on Geezer Butler's door, I think it was Geezer's sister or mother. Geezer tells the story where they're like, there's something out there waiting for you, and it was Ozzy, because he couldn't even afford shoes or nothing, but he would walk with one on a leash. And yes, probably it was a shoe, absolutely. And but gee, that's fine. I'm still, I can't believe you got the Iron Void one. That's very impressive, because you can't even Google that at all. Very impressive. But yes, Briarly, you are correct. It was a shoe. I already said that. What was the name of his band before? Now, I'm not going to do a whole trivia of whatever, but what was the name of Black Sabbath before Earth? You guys got to remember, too, think about back in those days in 1969, where, like they say, San Francisco, Flower Power, all of that type of stuff. And they come out, though, with this, like, this sound. And Paul McCartney said it best. To people who were born, like I was born in 81, it was kind of just like, okay. But, like, if you were born, let's say, like my parents, like age, like, back in the 50s or late 40s, and then that music comes out, you're like, what is this? And they used to get terrible reviews and everything like that. But they look what they created. Dave, would we have your favorite band Metallica without Sabbath? Who knows? But they were something else. Oh, the hour's up. Let's see if I wanted to put up some other stuff. And I can't thank all of you enough for jumping on for the last show. For my first show. That picture reminded me of the last show right there. Look at the smile on his face. He was just dying to get on there, and that's a picture of them rehearsing beforehand. Like, that was actually a show though that I'm gonna do on the other that I was gonna do on my other channel. Briarly, yes, they were. They were called the Polka Toke Blues Band before then it went to Earth. And then it went to Black Sabbath, because another band was called Earth. And that's a funny story. A bunch of people showed up. They're all like in ties and all that. And they thought it was the other band, Earth. And then when Sabbath started, they were like, what is this? And when you hear the song Black Sabbath, it's just completely different. And, they did it their way. They weren't trying to be anything else. And anyone who plays music out there, or if you're trying to start a band, I'm older, don't just try to sound like another band. Play what you love, and hopefully the people will respond. But yes, very good, Briarly. Very good. Ozzy and Lemmy, 17 days. I did not know that. I still can't believe that she got Iron Void. Well, let's see what else though before. Anyone wants to email the show? Email, screenshot that up, Ozzy Osbourne tribute page at gmail.com to talk to me direct. My name is Loomis. And I reply to everyone's email. If anyone's interested in coming on, talking about Ozzy or Sabbath or your favorite moments or any, talk about your favorite album, just anything in general, anyone's absolutely welcome. Very good show. Yeah, it was the first one for this channel, so I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous. You know how many shows I've done? And I even called up Chris, and I'm like, man, I'm nervous about this one because it's the first time. I don't know if it's like imposter syndrome, but I'm usually someone that I'm someone that speaks my mind, and but at the same time, though, I was like, well, I don't have a lot of subscribers on this page. What if nobody even comes in? And I don't care if one person's watching, I'll stay on for an hour. And I know I say hit like or subscribe, but I don't want any money from you. I'm never going to ask for money or donations. I don't want that. The fact that you give me your time means the world to me because I know how busy life is out there. So yeah, I may say like and subscribe, but if you don't, the fact that you just gave your time, that alone means the world. I love you too, Matt. You know it, my man. That was a great live. Thank you, Barely. I'm so happy that you liked it. I seen your comments. Guys, like and subscribe from Matt. Thanks, Matt. Share it with your friends. This page is going to be, which I want it to be, the ultimate tribute page for Ozzy Osbourne. That, in 1 week, though, we came close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Never going to use AI. Always going to, everything that I say is absolutely going to be the truth and from solid sources. And I want to learn from you. There's stuff that I like. Gina definitely knows stuff that I don't know. I knew one thing that she didn't know about the shoe or whatever, but I'm sure. I can't believe that she knew, though, the Iron Void thing. That's impressive. And Briarly, very impressive on your end, too. And there's the email. Screenshot that. Definitely email me up. And if you're interested in coming on, or if you just want to email the show and say hi, shoot me an email. Again, my name is Loomis. And before I go, let me just go to, this service here, excuse me, changed a lot of, there it is, changed a lot of things, but I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. That's beautiful right there. The last show from the end. We're just left with so much. Ozzy left us so much content too, which is just unbelievable. And that right there says it all. That's at his home where he's buried. Ozzy fucking Osbourne. What an arrangement. Couldn't ask for anything better. And stay tuned because got a lot of great episodes coming up. Next Sunday will be episode 2 of Into the Void. And I'll have a topic what we'll talk about. And I'll talk about that during the week. And there's just going to be a bunch of always new stuff on this channel. And we're just going to keep this channel going in honor of Ozzy and Black Sabbath. And even though it's just about Ozzy and Sabbath, you could talk about other bands. Like, we were talking about Lemmy. He had a connection with them all. Look at all the bands that he helped out too. Metallica, Master of Puppets tour, brought them on. Motley Crue, that infamous tour, just unbelievable. But Gina, he wrote his name in the brick in his childhood home. Yep. Yeah, and what's impressive, Gina, is that you won't find that in any book. And the clip I'm talking about when he walked out, when he went back to his house. I have a DVD on my door. God bless Ozzy Osbourne. That was when he was turning 60. And he's like, we made it, to Bill Ward. We made it. But God bless Ozzy Osbourne. Thank you, Ozzy Osbourne, for everything that you have done for the world and all of us. You are one of a kind. There will never be another one like you. Definitely check out the book, I Am Ozzy, if nobody read that. And this one, I think, System of the Universe by Mick Wall is a fantastic read on Black Sabbath. It gives the whole history. It even goes into when Ozzy went solo and all that type of stuff. And for me, I might catch some heat, but Black Sabbath, I believe the original four, nothing beats it, because they even sounded different with Ozzy, not just because of his voice, but even the riffs. And it was just raw, pure. I mean, they made their first album in a day, which is just unbelievable. The song Paranoid, they were told, hey, we need one more track. They came up with that in like 20 minutes. Unbelievable. And look how big that song is. And just R.I.P. to Ozzy Osbourne. And I'm going to keep this page going. And this is always just going to be a tribute to Ozzy. I hate saying, oh, I'm going to keep his name going. Like you really need me to keep his name going. He kept his name going, but this page is all about that. Gina San interview a few days back. It was really cool. He had so many cool stories, Ozzy did. We love you, Ozzy. Absolutely. Love you, Oz. And I love all of you for coming on. Give this a like, share it with your friends. Let them know about the new page. Like I said, no AI over here. And thank you for the first episode 1 of Into the Void live every Sunday night at 6 p.m. I might do another live during the week, like on not Tuesday night, because I have another show though with Key. I just stay tuned, check the post and all that. But R.I.P. Ozzy Osbourne. Thank you all so much. And here's a song though that I wrote on piano to close it out with Ozzy. And it always won't be this somber in the beginning and stuff, but the song is called Heavy Heart. And guys and ladies, hit that subscribe and that like button. And thank you so much for the support. And let's keep the tradition of Ozzy Osbourne alive. This means the world to me that some of you came on for my first live on here and gave your time. Thank you again. Love yous. And you'll see a lot of stuff popping up during the week. And you will see me next week live talking to yous. And don't forget to email me if you just want to come on and talk about anything that has to do with Ozzy, Ozfest, Sabbath, all of it. Thank you so much again. Love yous. And I'll see you next week. And here's the song and a little tribute called Heavy Heart. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next time on Into the Void.